Welcome everyone who is joining us right now. We are here for the info session for a certificate in Immigration Tribunal Practice that we're offering at Ashton College live online. And welcome everyone who's joining us right now in Zoom webinar and those who are watching us on Facebook Live. My name is Anna Torina. I'm one of the project managers here at Ashton College, and I'm the host for the info session. I also have Anita Baskariol with me. Hi, Anita.
Hi, Anya. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Yes, so Anita has been in the industry for over 15 years, and she's been with Appeal Division for over 11 years. I've been speaker to many events and conferences, and we are so lucky to have her as our instructor for this course. And so today Anita will be telling us a little bit more about the course and what it contains inside. Anita, maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about yourself, what you've done in the industry, and what brought you to teaching, of course, at Ashton.
Sure. Thank you, Anya. I'm happy to give everybody a little bit of a snapshot of my background and connection to Ashton. I started out in private practice of law with a small portion of my actual practice in the immigration field. I was then appointed to the Immigration Appeal Division of the Immigration and Refugee Board. And as Anya stated, I was a member of that board for about 11 years. And I was Assistant Deputy Chair of that board for the last 2 years that I was there. So saw quite a bit of the practice of immigration law from the perspective of the decision maker. So that gave me a unique perspective. Since I'm back in private practice after having worked with the federal government for a number of years, my practice is at 50% immigration law. So a lot of it involving appeals or reconsideration applications, as well as judicial review applications, all involving immigration law. So, so I've seen it, and from both sides, both as a decision maker and as a practitioner. And I first got involved with Ashton College. There was a conference that was co-sponsored by Ashton College, and I was invited to be a speaker. And from there, it snowballed, and I'm currently just finishing up teaching this same certificate program in Immigration Tribunal Practice for the college before we start again with the program in September. And I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yes, it's exciting. So Anita is an active practitioner, and she works for Watson Gapel, a law firm in downtown Vancouver. And I think, Anita, you're in your office right now, right?
I'm in my office right now. That's why the light is so good.
and I also know you enjoy opera. Is that correct?
Very much so.
I love Giuseppe Verdi, by the way.
There you go.
Yes, so for all our listeners, you can ask your questions anytime in a chat box that you can see below at the bottom of the screen, or in Q&A box. You can also ask any questions in a comment box under Facebook Live video, and we will be happy to discuss it with Anita here. So I just wanted to mention that this certificate in tribunal practice doesn't really have any admission requirements besides that you have to be 19 years old. And of course, it was designed for immigration practitioners and notaries and paralegals. Right, Anita, who will benefit from this program the most, right? Am I on the right track? Just
You are, Anya. I think originally it was intended to be for consultants who wanted to broaden their practice or improve their practice to include participation and representation before the Immigration and Refugee Board. Just even in the last session, there are individuals who've taken it just purely out of interest, purely out of learning more about the immigration practice. And I know when I spoke previously, there were also law students as well as lawyers asking about CPD credit so continuing legal education credit for the course, which I know Ashton College is looking into getting that kind of credit.
Yeah, actually, we got approval from Law Society of Saskatchewan already. They pre-approved it for 39 CPD credits, and we're hoping to get it pre-approved from all other provinces as well, but it's in the process right now. We got a lot of requests, and so we decided to do it right away, submitted for CPD approval. And so, as Anita mentioned, yes, we are starting a new course on September 14th, and it will go through December 14th. And it will be live online, and it's Monday and Tuesday webinars, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. So please do the calculation if you're in another province. And yes, so it's 3 hours of live online webinars per week. And Anita, how do you enjoy this live online format? What do you think? Our students, do they like it? How are your classes going? And what activities you do in class? Is it easy?
Well, you know, we like everyone during COVID-19, I know there have always been classes online, but certainly the intention originally was to have an in-person class. And there is a difference, of course, between what you can do live versus what you can do online. But I believe it's very well received because it's very much two-way. I give information, but at the same time, I look for input. So there is a great deal of participation, both idea exchanges, experience exchanges, as well as I'll respond to any questions that people have. We do a lot of case studies together, and so that the participants get quite a bit of experience in doing a case analysis and case summary and learning how to present the key issues and decisions and ideas out of the cases that we study. And at the same time, we learn the law, the basics of the law of both appeals and immigration division tribunal practice as set out in the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, the regulations, the rules, the guidelines that are passed by the chairperson. So we go through the legalities of it. We also go through just the practicalities of how do you prepare a case for presentation. What is all of the lead-up work that you do as the representative, and as well, what is the best way to present once you're there presenting. So there's the practical how-tos of presenting, as well as the law that you rely on to prepare your case for presentation.
This is great. So this certificate in tribunal practice that we're offering is to bridge the theory and knowledge with the practical experience and case studies. And I think anyone in immigration field will benefit from this course a lot. And maybe we can actually talk a little bit more about the content and topics covered during the course. What are the modules you go through with your students?
Sure. Well, we look at the Immigration and Refugee Board writ large. We look at, as on an introductory basis, where it fits in the whole administrative law context and what that is and why we have administrative law. So we start very, very broadly, and then we bring it in to the board and how the board is set up legislatively, and then the parts of the board that deal with the immigration side, because of course the Immigration and Refugee Board, as its name suggests, deals with both refugee protection hearings, refugee appeals, as well as immigration hearings and immigration appeals. And our course deals with the immigration side, not the refugee side. So we look at the setup and makeup of the immigration division, the content of what areas do they make decisions in, and what do they consider when they make decisions, and look at the cases, the leading cases of how the work of the immigration division is viewed by the courts, and when they're doing things right and when they're not. So you get a full picture of practice before the immigration division, and then you get an idea of practice before the immigration appeal division. What kinds of matters lend themselves to appeal? What do you consider when you determine whether to appeal a decision or not? And what happens both during the appeal process, and what happens if you're successful or not successful in an appeal. And again, the legal basis is very important, and it's sort of the first half of the course is the legal basis of immigration division admissibility hearings, immigration appeals, and then the second half of the course is how do you go about preparing and presenting those cases before the tribunal, before either branch of the tribunal. So that is how it's set up. It's kind of in two stages.
This is great, and it's great that you have so much experience with these appeal divisions. And I was wondering, I think for a lot of immigration practitioners, they have to fight with a lot of anxiety when going to such a course and presenting the case. So what's your, of course you're the lawyer, so you have more experience with this. What's your advice to your students and those who are going to present? How do you usually cope with that stress?
Well, the first thing is, of course, just the work. You know, just like anything, you cannot get out of putting in the work that you need to put into it. And the more work you put into it, the more preparation, the less you have a reason for being stressed. If you know what to expect because you've prepared thoroughly, you've prepared your clients and your witnesses thoroughly, so they know what to expect, that will go a long way in alleviating some of the stress. The other thing is just to be yourself. You know, so many people who don't conduct hearings or participate in hearings on a regular basis, you know, they have one model that they follow, and lots of times it's what they see on TV or the movies, and everybody's passionate and everybody's emotional and they're very expressive, and there's an idea that this is what you have to do to be successful, and that's not true. There are all kinds of presentation styles, and they can all be effective, from very low key to more flamboyant. You know, I urge people to consider their own personalities, their own strengths, put in the work, and know that anybody, regardless of natural speaking skills, can do a very good job in presenting.
If prepare for that.
There's no magic. That's the key.
That's actually great advice. Be yourself, and it's not a movie, right? It's not a movie thing. It's real. Yes, and what other qualities do you think those working with appeal divisions should have, besides that you just mentioned?
Right. Preparation is key, and also the ability, and you know, this, you get better the more you do it, just like anything. The more experience you have, the better you get at it. But one of the other skills you need to develop is anticipation, because you can be completely prepared, which you have to be, but things can happen in the hearing that you may not expect. And then the whole thing is knowing how to react to developments and how to do so calmly and how to think your way through to working with it. And by that, I mean a witness could give an answer that no matter how much you've prepared them, you didn't expect. And so how do you work with that to make sure your case still stays on track? So, so there is that, if you can anticipate, so much the better. But if the unanticipated happens, it's how to calmly deal with it and react quickly enough so that you can deal with it and it doesn't derail your hearing.
Do you have any standard answer for this kind of when something arises that you don't expect? Do you have any standard, I don't know, paragraph that you say to deal with it? Well,
you can't let any panic show, that's for sure. So you make a note and you consider whether you can deal with it when you have an opportunity to redirect. If you know what the answers really are and should be, and you have someone who on the stand was cross-examined and reacted just in the heat of the moment and didn't give the whole story or wasn't given an opportunity to give a full explanation, you make sure you've made a note of what was said so that when you have an opportunity to redirect, you can do exactly that, redirect to get the answer back on track. The key always being, don't panic, just calmly deal with things as they happen.
And so you can ask for a rescheduling the hearing?
No, by redirect, I mean you ask the questions first.
Okay.
And then the other side has an opportunity to cross-examine the witness. And if they answer the way you expect them to answer, it is not to panic. That's the first thing, to very calmly make a note of the question that was asked and the answer, and start to think about how, when you get your opportunity to ask questions in redirect, you get to go last, how you're going to give the witness an opportunity to explain fully so that the information you want before the board actually gets out before the board. So, as I say, it's a bit of thinking on your feet. You can't get away from that because everything may not go exactly as planned, and learning how to calmly deal with developments as they come up in the course of a hearing.
I think we have thank you, Anita, for your answers. I think we have one question in the chat from Balvinder. I think he was one of our previous students of IMCD program, and he's wondering how different it will be from the immigration consultant diploma. So I guess that it was already covered in immigration consultant diploma, the tribunal practice. Will you be able to describe us the procedure also to make us prepare our case before the appeal division step by step?
Yes, that's exactly part of it. So what we do is go through everything that needs to be prepared. So the documents, how do you collect the documents? How do you identify documents that are relevant? How do you decide and determine how you're going to use the documents in a hearing? How could the other side use the documents in the hearing? What are the rules that apply to documentary evidence? So we deal with documents, we deal with witnesses, and how do you decide who you're going to call as a witness? How are you going to prepare your witnesses? What do you have to do to prepare? What are the best practices in getting your witnesses prepared for a hearing? And then, of course, we cover all of the rules that apply to hearings before the respective divisions in detail. So, so you get it right. So it is, I don't know about the other course and just how deeply practice is gone into, but this is in depth.
Yeah, definitely. That's why we decided, Ashton College decided to come up with this course, Certificate in Tribunal Practice, is because actually a lot of our students didn't get enough of in-depth knowledge during MCD, where we provide just a general overlook of tribunal practice, but this is much more in depth, taught by Anita, who've been dealing with this for a long time, so you're in the good hands. And we invite you to join from September 14th, live online, 40 hours of in-depth training with Anita. Anita, how do you think it will help or change the career of someone who is attending and taking such certificate in tribunal practice, how their career will change?
Right. Well, it will certainly open up another avenue, because a lot of the consultants, and this is not to say that in every case is the wrong way to deal with it, but what a lot of consultants will do if there's a refusal, for instance, is to just apply again and apply again and apply again and keep trying, and it can work. And in some cases, applying again is the right answer. But this gives another avenue that there's a refusal, there's an opportunity and a consideration to appeal a decision. So you don't reapply, but if you try to get the right decision out of a refusal decision, what the decision ought to have been. And it gives more weapons in the arsenal, let's say, and gives you a broader scope of how you can assist your client and the ways that you can assist your client.
Yes, thank you, Anita, for answering this. And we have another question from a participant. He's wondering, can we use Zoom meeting only, or we need to have Adobe Connect for the course? And actually, from now on, we're using Zoom education platform for online delivery of this course. So it looks similar to the interface you're seeing right now, but it has some additional options. But for sure, in terms of technical requirements, to join this course, you need a computer, a web camera, a proper headset maybe, so you can participate actively in class, and of course, strong Wi-Fi connection. And a dedicated quiet space so you can focus. And Anita, you mentioned that a lot of preparation is required to succeed, right, at the appeal hearing. I was wondering how much self-study you think students should dedicate while they're studying in this course, taking this certificate. Do you give them a lot of homework and assignments to do, or?
Yeah, not a lot. As a matter of fact, as time went on, after the midterm test that we did, a midterm review that was done, a test, it occurred to me that the students were not getting enough experience in reading cases and analyzing them. So we really stepped it up so that every week came with an assignment to review and analyze a case, just to improve that skill set. Because one of the other things that we do learn to do is making opening and closing statements or closing arguments. And there you'll want to rely on the law. You'll want to let the board know that your case, that the facts of your case, when looked at together with the law, means that your client should be successful. And having that basis of knowing which cases to cite and how to analyze them and how to pull out the important parts of the decision that supports your case is a skill. And so in terms of homework, there is a lot more practice done on that front. There's always a need to review the material that we go through, just to make sure it's clear in the student's mind. And I have to say that in the present course, the students are very diligent about staying on top of everything that we learn. And that is important.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Anita. And it's worth mentioning that in case you miss a class, we record all the sessions, and we will be happy to share the recorded version with you. But of course, we encourage you to attend at least 70% of classes to get the most out of it, right? And also, the passing rate is also like 70%. You have to actively participate in class. Thank you, Anita. And maybe you can give us a little bit of tasting of the hearing process, what information they're looking for. Like if you only had like 5 minutes, what would be your best ideas and tips for immigration practitioners?
Okay, well, one of the things that you're going to always get from the Minister of Immigration and the officials there is the record of refusal, the record of removal, whatever went into the decision that was made. So the first thing is, well, first of all, speak to your client, of course, and get an understanding of what happened from their perspective. Review the record thoroughly so you know how the decision was made. And that gives you a basis of the elements to discuss with your client. If it was a refusal at a visa post, for instance, if the visa officer said that this was asked and this was said, what actually happened here, what happened? So that gives you the basis of what you're up against in terms of the case you have to prepare, and is your springboard to preparing your case to persuade. And what it is when you present before a tribunal, it's an exercise in persuasion. Persuade that, in fact, there should not have been a refusal. That now that there's an appeal, the appeal should be allowed because here is what was missed in the whole process, or what was not gotten right in terms of the analysis done by the, call it the visa officer, whoever was the decision maker, the official that made the decision at first blush, where it didn't really reflect the reality of the situation. And of course, the type, whether it's removal or refusal, they will give you in their record the grounds. So you can go into the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act and look at the grounds that they cite to see if it matches what the decision that they made. And then you can look at what arguments, what cases support that in this type of case, the refusal isn't really the right way of proceeding. So your client's information, the record and information material you get from the minister's officials form the basis of the information that you need in order to prepare your case. And that's your springboard and your starting point to prepare your case. And it becomes, what information do I need to present to counteract or explain or add to what's in that record that immigration officials have provided. That is their justification for the decision they made. What more needs to be provided to the tribunal so that in order for them to make the right decision?
Yes, thank you. That's a great answer to my question. And we have another participant wondering what kind of books or notes they will be provided, or do they have to buy anything?
Sure. A lot is online, and certainly I give information about what it is that you should look for and obtain for yourself online. Case review, cases are available online, and I give citations based on the information, the online information of the case, so you can find that. the Act, the regulations are available online, and you should make sure that you get yourself access to those. In addition to that, I provide the materials for the course. So you will have them in hand week by week as we go through each aspect of the tribunal practice.
You mean the resources that are available online are sections of Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, right?
Yes. Yes.
Immigration Refugee Protection Regulations.
Yes.
Yes. So a lot of this information will be provided to you, and Anita will share the links so you don't have to worry about the materials. But you will have to know how to find the right information once you're out by yourself and practicing. So we encourage you to ask questions in Q&A box or chat box. And also, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, you can comment in the chat box. You can also raise your hand, press the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen and get into the queue where you will be able to ask your question live if you wish. Yes. So, to register for the course, you can simply go on our website and click register today, and we will be really happy to see you in class with Anita Bascriol on September 14th. Yes, and we encourage you to register at least 1 week prior to the start date of the course. Though we will accept you later, but it will give you enough time to receive the welcome email, registration, all the links, and prepare for the first class. Yeah. Okay, I think we have some questions here in the chat as well. Will the college provide us with any books or notes apart from what we get from Anita? So I think I can answer that question, but please correct me or Ed. You will be provided the links to the materials and different PDF files, maybe by Anita. And we are not sending you any other books. Is that correct, right?
Yes, and I do prepare materials. I have prepared materials for each class that gives you a lot of information, and a lot of it is extracts from textbooks or, you know, it varies depending on the topic, but you will have sort of a consolidated, if you will, sort of law textbook that you get that's, you know, presented week by week in classes. So that's in addition to what you can look up, as I say, the Act and the regulations that you can just have because they're just basic for your own knowledge.
Well selected by Anita, right? The highlights that you need to know. So it's even better than a book because you will have the core of tribunal practice. All right. And another question from a participant here, wondering what makes tribunals different from courts of law?
It's an excellent question. Tribunals are less formal. Tribunals don't follow all of the strict rules of evidence or rules of court. They have their own rules, but it is just a less formal process. And as I say, it falls within the whole ambit of administrative law, which was established just to make sure that people get results more quickly than they would in court, in a less formal manner. So that's the major difference between tribunals and courts. While a lot of the members are lawyers, not all of them are. So you're not dealing with judges, you're dealing with people knowledgeable about the area that they're making decisions in. and all of the processes are less formal and therefore more accessible and quicker than court processes.
And how long does it take for them to make the decision, usually? How much time?
Right. It depends on, that's a very good question. It depends on how straightforward the decisions are. For instance, many decisions in the immigration division are made at the end of the hearing. So you'll get it on, not in every case, but in many cases, you can get an admissibility finding then and there at the end of the hearing, or shortly thereafter. With the Immigration Appeal Division, you might look at a month or two on the outside normally, except for very, very complex cases. For instance, if it's based on a charter argument, that could take more research, more time, more to prepare a decision in that kind of case. So that can take a little longer. But normally between 3 weeks to 2 months, you should have your decision.
And how long do you usually wait for the hearing process nowadays?
Yeah, well, COVID is its own special thing. So, and because of everything tied to COVID, the fact that they can't hold a hearing in just one hearing room because the participants have to be divided up, it means that they can schedule fewer hearings because more hearing rooms are used just to hear one hearing. So, so you need patience, but this is a COVID-19 matter. Otherwise, you can get a notice for hearing within months. It's always going to take a while because all of the parties have to be free, right, in order to hold the hearing. So it's the member who sits regularly. You know, there are hearings outside of COVID 5 days a week in 3 or 4 hearing rooms. So, and there's a morning and an afternoon hearing much of the time. So they can schedule quite a bit in normal times to get the hearings on. But then the member has to have a slot. Both counsel have to be available. The witnesses, especially the appellant or, you know, the key people, have to be available and free. So it's finding a date that works for everybody that sometimes can take a little bit longer. But the attempt to schedule is made very quickly once there's a notice of hearing.
Who coordinates all that? Is that the immigration practitioner and the lawyers who coordinate all the availability of everyone?
It's the registry of the tribunal that tries to herd the cats or tries to get everybody on the same page.
Yeah, that's a lot of coordination. So they didn't transfer it to any virtual tribunal hearings yet.
No, and it's, you know, I mean,
might happen, do you think?
It is virtual in the sense that because the participants are in different hearing rooms, the members in the hearing room, you're in a different hearing room, you are connected via video on a very big screen. So it isn't live, but you know, it is right there.
You have to be present still,
yeah,
in your own separate room, but you have
separate hearing room. So, you know, but COVID, and let's hope it doesn't last forever and ever. It is, you know, it's changed things out of necessity, but it certainly is different from the norm. And we all have to adapt, and we all learn as we go, you know, including the members, council, everybody. How do we make it work in the best possible way during COVID-19?
Thank you, Anita. And a question that you might answer. How do you see this tribunal practice evolving in the next few years? Do you think anything will change, maybe due to COVID or due to other things? What's your predictions?
Well, I know that there are lots of hearings that happen already via video conferencing. For instance, because it's the one area of the tribunal that is permanently in Vancouver that does hearings in Alberta. And rather than travel, many times they're done via video conferencing. I could see video conferencing as a result of COVID being made more of a standard way of proceeding, because it works. It does save money, you know, rather than people traveling back and forth all the time. And we see it maybe even more so, even though this is tribunal practice, in the courts, where a lot of court procedures, chambers applications, for instance, are all done via video now. We're finally getting our heads around that maybe that doesn't have to change. Maybe we can do more of that after COVID is over. You know, we're all learning just how much we can use technology to enhance processes. And you know, younger people are much more comfortable, as everybody knows, with technology, that it can very much become a part of going forward.
And then maybe in terms of availability, right? If people don't have to travel, then there are more slots available.
Witnesses, you know, if your witnesses live here, there, and everywhere, if they don't have to travel to come to a hearing, you know, it's certainly more convenient for them. So there are glitches, there are things that need to be worked out. There are certainly advantages to face-to-face over being on a screen, you know, in terms of getting a real feel of an individual and their credibility. But that doesn't mean it can't be done, right?
It's harder for the judge, right?
Yeah, but it can also be done. I don't think we'll ever do away with in-person hearings or in-person trials. But this has given us an opportunity to experience that it can work in other ways as well. So going forward, there may be a combination. You know, some things done electronically and some things done in person. I think we've all learned that we can make both work.
Yeah, it's great when we can use technology to our advantage, but I think another concern is the security, right? And how to check the identity. And I also recently had a meeting with like lawyers. I had to show my passport and face on the screen at the same time so they can see that it's me.
Yes, exactly, or photograph or what have you, just to make sure. Yes, absolutely. And you know, now you can sign over the internet, because to avoid having to witness in person, again, trying to eliminate contact as much as possible for COVID. But some of these things maybe will stay even after, who knows?
Great. So let me see. I don't think we have any other questions from our participants. And I know you have a busy schedule. And are you teaching today, right, as well?
Teaching this evening as well, yes.
So you're going to class right after, or no, after 1 hour, right? So you maybe still have to prepare for that. So thank you so much, Anita, for answering all our questions today. And I see Rohita says, thank you, Anita. I know you since I was an interpreter. I was the board. I'm a lawyer now.
Oh, congratulations.
Rohita, yeah.
Someone who remembers me from the olden days, I guess.
With the board, yeah, wow.
I'm glad.
So we hope, Rohita, to see you in class with Anita in September. And also, if you guys are interested, we will be hosting continuing CPDs in November 5th, and Anita is also presenting there as one of the speakers. So you can find more information on our website in regards to that as well. And so thank you, Anita. Thank you to all the participants, listeners, and everyone who was behind the screen answering questions. And have a nice evening, everyone. Enjoy.